Hello friends, today we are going to discuss a very important essay which was asked in year 2018 UPSC essay paper, Civil Service Mains exams, and the topic was the past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. The past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. So we're going to discuss what this means and what you could have written. So let's start. This essay topic has three components or three aspects to it. The first, and in the essay topic there are three aspects, three keywords which you should focus. The first is the past. The second is consciousness and values. You can call them second A and second B because these both two are related as far as this essay is concerned. So the second part is consciousness and values, and the third is dimension. So this essay topic means that our consciousness and values, they are rooted in the past and what has happened. So what has already happened in the past, that is greatly going to define the contours of our consciousness and values. If I paraphrase it in a simple line, it means our thought process is greatly shaped by events of the past. Thought process. Pay attention to it. In this essay, your success depends upon how vividly you can think of explaining consciousness. What do you understand by consciousness and values? What do you understand by that? So, consciousness means a lot of things. Most importantly, it means whatever happens inside your brain. So, whatever you think about life, your approach towards life, your attitude towards life, your identity, what you think is desirable and what you think we should reject, what you think we should follow, we should try to emulate. Whatever happens inside your brain, whatever you think about this world, whatever sense of social reality you make out, all that comes under consciousness. But most importantly, here consciousness refers to your approach towards life, your attitude towards life. So consciousness means your thoughts, your identity, your approach towards life. In identity, whether you see yourself as a male or a female, or whether you think of yourself as a worker or as a member of a caste or as a member of a race, as a white person or as a black or brown person, as a Westerner or as an Indian, or as a mix of them, or these kind of identities which we create in our mind, whether you see yourself as an academician or as a businessman, as basically your identity, whether it should be based on your profession or on your gender or on your nation or on your caste or on your race or on your age or on your profession. So on which basis you determine your identity and what thoughts you have, all these things are shaped by what has happened in the past. Your attitude towards life, whether you are pessimistic, whether you are very positive about life, your dreams and aspirations. What do you want to become in life? Do you want to become a bureaucrat, or do you want to become a business person? Do you want to become a sports person? So these things, all these things are determined by what has happened in life. The past has a very strong influence on these things. Your dreams and aspirations, they are influenced by your past. Your fear and confidence. How much confident confidence you have in life? Are you very confident, or you're someone who has a lot of fears in life? Are you risk taking? Do you take risk, or do you believe that what has happened has happened? Do you believe in innovation, or do you follow the path which has already been there? So next is your core and central beliefs of life which give direction to your lives. All these things, they are determined by your values. In this, all these things, they are determined by your past. So you have to advocate. In this essay, you have to advocate that how all these events are related to your past. These all are rooted in your past. Next, there is a word here, permanent. Permanent means that this relationship between your past and your thought process. This relationship between your past and your thought process is not a weak relationship. It's a very complex relationship. It can't be broken easily. You can't just one day decide and say that, okay, this past is no more my past. I will not let it influence my consciousness. You can't simply pluck away the pages of your past. You can't change your past. So we have to focus here also on this word, permanent. So around these, we can now move forward. We can discuss what this essay is and what you could have written here. Now, as I'm telling you that you have to discuss in this essay that how your thought process is influenced by your past. This you have to debate. Now, you will debate on this on different levels. Like at least these 2 or 3 levels you must mention. The first is at an individual level, at a level of a person. Like how these, how your past events, how the past events of a person determines his thought process. The next is you can discuss at a medium level, like a family level, or maybe like a village level, or maybe like a community level, that how a family's experiences and what past it has, it strongly determines its values. Every family has some different values, and how these values, they are greatly shaped by the past. And the third, you can discuss at a national level, at a level of a nation, that how these collective values, how the collective values, they are in a collective values and collective consciousness, how they are influenced by our past. And obviously this past is also collective. So how our collective values, they are influenced by our collective past. So let's start with these different levels. At an individual level, let's start at an individual level. How your past determines your thought process at an individual level. Let's begin. So at an individual level, if we talk about, let's take some examples. Like a child who grows up in a broken family, or in a family where the parents are drunkards, father and mother, they are drinking all the time, or they are under the spell of some drugs, or they are a drug addict. They have toxic behavior. They don't take care of the child. They are fighting with each other, or they are abusing the child in different ways. Then such a child, when he or she grows up, will definitely have some traumatic experiences which would have impacted his or her growth. And child sexual abuse. A child who is a victim of child sexual abuse, when he or she grows up, his approach to life in general, and his approach to family, to marriage, to sexual relationship, his conception of other gender, gender relations, all these would have been negatively impacted by that abuse. So the past continues to haunt our thought process. It inspires us also. You can give examples of it in both positive and negative example here. Here I have taken some negative example, that how child abuse or child violence committed on a child or sexual abuse, they leave very deep scars on him or her, and when he or she grows up, then his life, his thought process, his ideas about the world are very much negatively impacted by them. Similarly, at a family level, if we talk about a family which has been cheated by some of their relatives, especially in cases related to property disputes and all, so such family will find it very difficult to trust other people. They will find it very difficult to establish new social relations or accommodate new members in their family. They will be very distrustful towards them. So in this way, families also, some collective past which a family has, it impacts their values. Now, whether a family believes in nuclear setup or a joint setup, it is also impacted to a great extent what past they had, and whether their experience of, for example, whether the experience of a joint family was fruitful or not, that will leave some influence or a great influence on the minds of the coming generation with respect to the family system. Next, also at an individual level or at a family level, you can talk that how girls or women, or in fact children in general, those girls who grow up in families where they are trusted, where they are positively seen by the family members, where their confidence is instilled in them, where they are given responsibilities, where discrimination does not take place, then such girls, when grow up, they will be in a better position to take up life opportunities and challenges thrown by the life. And if there are other girls who have grown up in family where girls are not seen as confident persons, or where they are always made fun of, they're never given responsibilities, so such girls will have low self-esteem when they grow up. So their consciousness and their value system will be greatly determined by what has happened to them in their life. So in this way, these are examples from an individual level and a family level, that how the experiences of past, how the historical events, they have profound influence on your thought process. Next, at a national level, and one of the best examples which come in front of my mind is, at a national level, we are a country which saw colonial rule, under Britishers. We were colonized by Britishers, and that has left deep scars on our mind, on our thought processes. We have always been terrified by the thought that how could a few hundred or thousands Britishers could come and subjugate millions of Indians. So when Britishers came here in India, they promulgated this concept of white man's burden, in which they believed that the white men, they had the responsibility to take the blacks or the browns or people living in Africa or Asia towards a greater civilization. So they were here, Britishers were here in Africa or in Asia, not for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the masses. And in this way, racism was inflicted on our minds. And we are still recovering from the wounds of racism. Still today, we believe in some way or the other the superiority of the whites. We believe in the magic of white skin. Every matrimonial in our country is looking for fair girls, fair brides are wanted. Cosmetic companies, like, they are selling products like Fair and Lovely. And our companies, when they sell products, they call themselves with names which gives an appearance as if they are Britishers, like companies like Peter England, like Louis Philippe. They are very much Indian companies, but when they sell their products, they have to take up names, foreign names. Why? Because we are still under the spell of that colonial mindset, in which we believe that anything which is of a foreign origin is better. And even in the field of education, people who go and study in foreign universities, they are considered of a superior status than those who have learned in Indian universities. And it doesn't matter whether that person who returns from abroad, whether he or she actually knows or actually has real knowledge or not. So racism is still there. Our consciousness and our value system in this way is still impacted by our past, our historical past. So our collective past is influencing our present. It is a question here which we can raise here, that which past should we allow to have an influence on us? I will use these arguments also towards the end of the essay to form a conclusion, that which past, whether we should read about Akbar, great kings like Akbar, Ashok, Maurya dynasty, Chandragupta, the Gupta dynasties, or we should be creating our identities only through what Britishers taught us about the colonial period. So which past should come to us? At a collective level, when we are talking about a national level, we were not there in the time of colonial rule. We were not there hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So the past comes to us not directly, but through books, through movies, what we see in movies, or what we read in novels or in literature, or what we read in academic books and historical books. So here it becomes important that we take up that past which inspires us. We can definitely not change the books. We can definitely not change the history. We can't go back in past and change that past. As I initially said, we can't pluck away the pages of past. We can't go and change the past. But we can definitely decide which pages from the history creates our identity today, and which pages of the history we should read more often, so as to instill greater confidence in us. We were not always a civilization which was subjugated. We should read about our great past, where great sages, or I would say like in this figure, Sushruta, who could perform surgery. He's called as father of surgery in India. He could perform surgery, even cataract surgery, and he lived in 600 BC. That is around 600 years before Christ. Similarly, Indians invented zero, decimal system, and advances were made in astronomy and all. So this is also the past which we have inherited, and this past should also be made a permanent dimension of our consciousness and of our value system, so that we can have confidence on us, so that we can have more successful stories like ISRO's, which are bringing laurels to us. Now I will talk a little. I will focus on this word values. What does value means? The topic of the essay is, our thought process is greatly. The topic of the essay is that the past is the permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. So what does value mean? This word consciousness and values, it should be read together. Values here I'll give you some examples of values. Values here means, for example, attitudes towards religion or science, attitudes toward gender or women empowerment, attitudes towards freedom, democracy, and secularism. So these are some examples of values. Diversity. And inclusiveness. Now, there can be endless other examples of values also. Now, there are some questions which we should ask here, that these values which are there, which we very much hold dear to us, more values like love for nation or nationalism, or more specifically national integration. They are fundamental duties which are related to national integration. And Article 51A, Clause H, it also talks about a fundamental duty which focus on promotion of scientific temperament, that is, promotion of science. Now, you need to ask this, that these values related to secularism, this love for secularism, diversity, science, national integration, all these values, have they fallen from the sky? Why do we, at a collective level, at a national level, we have love for these values? Is it just by chance? Or is it because of the past? Is it because of the past which we had? Definitely, our past showed us that if we do not follow secularism, our country might have another horrific incident like partition. So partition 1947, it occurred because of rise of communalism. Similarly, regionalism, it led to too much of regionalism. When Britishers came, a few thousands or lakhs of them, they could subjugate an entire Indian subcontinent. So too much of regionalism was there, because of which a large country like India, it was defeated by a small country of England. So our value system today, in which we promote national integration and we do not positively look at regionalism, is because of our past experiences, because of the way we were colonized, and because of the way that colonial rule could sustain itself. Similarly, our love for freedom or our love for democracy is born out of our freedom struggle. Our freedom struggle was carried by a party, a Congress party, which was then formed on democratic principles. It functioned on democratic lines. Similarly, our attitudes towards religion and science and gender and women empowerment, they have been shaped by 18th or more specifically 19th and 20th century. They have been shaped by 19th and 20th century social reform movement. So the social reform movements, they taught us certain values. They taught us a certain values such as widow remarriage must be permitted, child marriage must be abolished, untouchability must be done away with, intercaste marriage, though it was not a part of social reform movements, but nevertheless it should be promoted. So our attitudes, our value system, at a collective level that has been largely shaped by what happened in 19th and 20th century social reform movements. So in this way, these are some other examples where we can see that our values, that they have been shaped by our past. That is, our past is a permanent dimension of our values or our consciousness. In similar way, we have a little skepticism towards religion, orthodoxy, towards fundamentalism, and we hail science because of the social reform movements which took place, and also because we saw that religion could sometimes act as a hindrance in national integration, and that is why we promoted secularism. So our past will have an impact on our present, and it's not just, the essay topic is not just talking about the material ways, it's not just the material ways in which our present is getting impacted by the past, but at the level of ideas, at the level of thoughts, at the level of what in the topic has been mentioned is consciousness and values. So this is the essay topic here. This is what the essay topic means. Now we will discuss a little more on that. The past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. Now some more examples we will take up here. Some good and bad, both kind of examples here we will take up. Like I was telling you here, our love for democracy, it has been shaped by our freedom struggle, which was fought to bring freedom and to bring democratic rights, and it was unleashed by a political party, Congress at the time, on democratic lines. Similarly, our freedom struggle, it promoted these concept of hartals or strikes or civil disobedience or non-cooperation movement, and somehow these are still a part of our collective psyche. Somehow, unfortunately, these rail roko or stop the trains or rasta band or chakka jam or these kind of events or strikes, these are still a part of Indian political system. So these are some values at a larger level which we have inherited from our past. Now we can take up more examples here. Even the relationship between the political organs of the state, the relationship between the democracy, the relationship between different pillars of democracy, relationship, for example, between the legislature and judiciary. If we have a look at it, it has been shaped by historical events. And let's try to understand it here. In Britain or in England, when democracy, people were fighting for democracy, they were fighting for democracy because they were fed up of the autocracy or the rule by the monarchs. So they said that okay, let there be power transitions and let real power flow in the hands of the representatives of people. And once these representatives of people start ruling the country, then there will be heaven. No problem would be left. So great powers were given to the parliament. It is said that the British parliament is very powerful. It has great autonomy and it is the most sovereign organ in England. It can do anything except changing a man to a woman and a woman to a man. That's a famous quote of a political theorist also. But when American War of Freedom was being fought, then American War of Freedom, Americans realized that even these so-called products of democracy or elected representatives, even they could unleash tyranny on the people. Even they could be inhuman. So they thought, okay, let us have some system which puts in check the power of these legislators. And so they gave enormous power to their judiciary. American judiciary is very powerful. It can overturn any law passed by their legislatures, and it has more power with respect to legislatures if compared to India. But when Indians were fighting their war of freedom, then they realized that even judiciary as well as legislatures, they can be ruthless, because Indian rule was sustained by a democratic setup and a judicial system which was inaugurated by the Britishers in India. So they thought, okay, let us have some checks and balances, and they also saw the experience of Americans. So when Indians drafted their constitution, and in our constitution and values, there is an elaborate philosophy of checks and balances which has been followed elaborately, and the Supreme Court has not been given supra powers, neither the legislature has been provided that much power. So Indian constitution works on this principle of checks and balances, and neither of legislature or judiciary is has that kind of relationship which exists in England or USA, because our history taught us some different experiences. So these are the ways how our past will come back and have an influence on our present. We may be consciously thinking of them or not, but in some way or the other, the past has an influence on our present. And as I'm saying, not just influence on our material conditions of our present time, but also on our psyche. Like these events of partition, the horrors of partition which occurred in 1947, it has left deep scars on our mind, and we want to avoid every such thing which could possibly lead to another partition. And as I'm saying, that is why secularism and national integration are certain values which are cherished by Indian Constitution to such a great extent. So this is, friend, how you could have discussed this essay, that how our past is having a great influence on our thought processes, on our consciousness, and on our value system. So we will be moving towards the conclusion here. Now, what conclusion can you suggest here? What is the conclusion which you can think of? In this essay, focus, as I told you, that one of the focus in this essay, it has to be on the permanent dimension. So you can't simply say that we should not allow the past to have an influence on us. So we need to say something different also. So one idea here was, we could say some lyrics of a very famous song, which is छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर में हम लिखेंगे मिलकर नई कहानी. That is, let bygones be bygones, forget what has happened in the past, and in the times to come, in the new times, we will write new stories, we will create new incidents. But as I am telling you, the problem with this conclusion is that we cannot completely say reject the idea of permanent, because somewhere in the essay topic this word permanent is mentioned. So the second conclusion which I can suggest here is that we can say that it is up to us to suggest which past is important to us, which past comes to us, and how do we interpret it. That also matters a lot. So no doubt we can't pluck away the pages of the past, but we can definitely decide which pages matter more and have more influence on our development of personality at an individual level as well as at a collective level. Similarly, on a positive note, we can write here that we can't disinherit the past, but we can't disinherit the past. The past is there in front of us. We can't disinherit us, but we can definitely do something that create a good present, so that the future generations, when they inherit it, then they love it. So the central point here is that today's present will be tomorrow's past. So what we do today, the India which is of today, that will be a past for the coming generations. So we must do something that the coming generations love their past. That is one thing, one kind of conclusion which we can make. Another kind of conclusion which you could have made somewhere here was that it's related to something which I've already said, that we should not allow the bad memories to have to spoil our relationships. So if partition occurred because of communalism between Hindus and Muslims, then these kind of conflicts which took place in the past, they should not be allowed to decide the major contours of our present today. So we should move beyond that, and we should strive to create good memories today, so that the coming generations, they can enjoy a beautiful past. So with this, friends, I will end the discussion here. This was our essay. We started with the topic statement. We discussed different aspects to this, different three words: the past, the consciousness and values, and permanent dimension. And then we took on different meanings of human consciousness, like thoughts, identity, approach to life, attitudes, our dreams, aspirations, fear, confidence, and core and central beliefs which give direction to our lives. And then we discussed that how all these human consciousness and how those values which we had discussed here, they are determined by our past. And this formula functions at a level of individual, at a level of family, at a level of nations. We gave some examples of values also, that how certain values like love for science, or love for gender empowerment, this gender equality and women empowerment, this love for freedom, democracy, secularism, diversity, inclusiveness, etc. These kind of values, they are largely a product of the past. So this was, friends, the topic. There's a topic, and with this I would like to close the discussion here. And as I said, that the essay topic basically means that it's not so easy to erase the past from our memories. Our memories as an individual, our memories as a family, our memories as a community, our memories as a nation. But still, whatever has been given to us, we should try to make the best out of it. We should try to give focus on the more important, the better scenes amongst that past, and that could inspire us. And we should try to create a present which can give inspiration to the coming generations, and so that the coming generations, which when they inherit that past, then they can be proud of us. So with this, I close the discussion here. I hope this was beneficial, and in case if you want to take benefit, then I also bring up essay development program, and in which I provide one-to-one counseling, and I also evaluate your answer sheets for essay test series, which you can join for the coming UPSC mains exam. So with this, thank you, friends.